After the Civil War ended in 1865, slavery was abolished in the United States, but freedom did not mean equality. In the South, new laws were created to control and separate Black Americans from white Americans. These laws became known as Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow laws were state and local laws that enforced racial segregation. They required Black and white people to use separate schools, restrooms, transportations, and even drinking fountains. These facilities were supposed to be separate but equal. However, in reality, they were far from equal. But segregation did not stop at schools or buses. It extended to one of the most critical parts of life, healthcare. Under Jim Crow laws, hospitals were segregated. Black patients were often denied treatment at white hospitals or forced into separate, underfunded facilities. Many Black hospitals lacked proper equipment, trained staff, and funding. The inequality had real and devastating consequences. Black Americans were more likely to suffer from disease like tuberculosis, pneumonia, and influenza without proper treatment. In overcrowded and underfunded hospitals, infections spread quickly, and resources were limited. Discrimination in healthcare wasn't just about access, it also affected how patients were treated once they were seen. Bias and false assumptions influenced medical decisions, often leading to Black patients' symptoms being overlooked or not taken seriously. As a result, illnesses were sometimes misdiagnosed or treated too late.
When it comes to the history of segregation in healthcare, I'm going to talk about specifically Black people. So Black people have been marginalized and Black people have suffered, and that's why they do not have a lot of trust in the healthcare system.
Okay, my name is Carolyn Thielman. I was born December 27th, 1936, and I grew up in Toledo, Ohio. Nursing school, there were no Black people in our nursing school. I think it probably wasn't even until 1975 that we had the first Black person come in to be a nurse. And so at the time, there were not many nurses or doctors that were of African American descent at all. There was sometimes a feeling, whether it was true or not, I'm not sure, that they had not had as good educational background. And so to be a nurse, and learn in the nursing school and to do the same things, they were expected to do, to have the same grades, to treat the people the same way, and do all of the things that we did. Now, sometimes there were difficulty with that simply because they didn't either know how, didn't have the background. So we would spend some time after class and so forth helping them to do that.
Carolyn's experience shows how segregation shaped both healthcare and education by limiting access and creating a bigger picture. These same patterns were being challenged in the Brown versus Board of Education case. Rooted in earlier laws like Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896, which allowed separate but equal facilities. The case addressed the reality that Black students were placed in inferior schools. In 1956, the Supreme Court ruled that separation was unconstitutional and discriminatory. The decision became a major turning point in the civil rights movement and extended beyond schools, influencing healthcare by reinforcing that separating people by race led to unfair and harmful treatments.
I would say the people, I think, sort of discriminated themselves. I don't know. Like there were hardly any private rooms, okay, in the hospital at that time. So if you were in a 2-bed ward and you happened to be white and you were put in with a black person, there was automatically, they signed up to be transferred to another room when a room was open. You know, people were not comfortable being with each other in a room like that.
For decades, discrimination in healthcare was shaped by systems like Jim Crow laws, where segregation influenced everything from hospital spaces to patient treatment. As my grandmother shared, even when laws began to change, people's mindsets didn't shift right away. When patients would request to be separated based on race, showing how deeply rooted those beliefs were. Although those attitudes are not commonly visible today, their effects didn't just disappear. To better understand how this history connects today, I spoke with someone currently working in this field that can speak from her own experience.
My name is Emla Tubo, and I own Powell Pharmacy and Emla Naturals up here in Powell. But in my class at OSU, I was the only Black girl in a class of 120. There is that need for belonging, which, as a student, almost every student's greatest need is a need for connection with fellow students. Black girl in a predominantly white environment, you find other minority to connect with. So my friends, like the guy I was working with, like when the guy came and asked, like, I only want to talk to a Black pharmacist. This happened over 13 years ago. I always remember it because of Mike's reaction. Mike just walked out from the back and he goes, excuse me, what did I hear? You're looking for a white pharmacist? There is none here. You're looking for a white pharmacist? Let me tell you something. She is the one who trained me. So anything that I'm going to tell you is what she tells me. So if you want a white pharmacist, I'm going to stand here and you ask me the question. I'm going to ask her. She'll tell me the answer and I'll interpret it to you. Do you want that? Or you can go find another pharmacy. And that's exactly what he said. You find your allies, right? Mm-hmm. So look, Mike responded to that question. So that's why I remember the situation very well, because he stood up for me. Mm-hmm. So for racism, we fight racism by standing up for ourselves and for the people around us. Black women, for example, have 3 to 4 times higher rate of death from childbirth in America. Just imagine that. In this day and age of today of modern medicines.
Right, you would think we would move past it because it has been going on for hundreds of years.
I have seen changes, there has been, because research has been done by this. Like, think about it. I just gave you a statistic that a Black woman who is pregnant and getting ready to give birth to a child has 3 to 4 times higher rates of maternal mortality at childbirth, as opposed to her white counterpart woman who is pregnant and getting ready to give birth to a child. We're going to treat white women and Black women the same. Meanwhile, it's been documented very clearly that Black women have a higher risk. That's the disparity that we have right now. So we have to continue advocating for the Black women. So if it was white women that had that higher risk, it would be important to allocate research dollars towards white women because they're the ones with a higher risk. Read, and read. Read about research studies, read peer-reviewed journal articles, read about statistics. You don't have to go deep into all the mathematics and statistics. You can if that's your cup of tea, but if you read about population, and epidemiology, about public health. So a lot of people are not very aware about public health issues. So, but if you just read a few articles on public health, once you become more aware, people are generally kind. People are generally willing to help. People want to help each other. So I've really not met people who want to jeopardize their health. So, but if you're not aware, then you can help solve a problem that you're not aware about. So, but if you read and see, because now think about it, if people now know that, oh, Black women have 3 to 4 times a higher risk of dying from childbirth, and you're a physician or you're a nurse or you're somebody working in a hospital or any place, when you see a pregnant Black woman, this statistic will pop up in your head and you'll be like, oh, I want to take special care of her. That's the natural instinct, because we're all human and we generally want to care for each other. So if you read and become more aware of the statistics that are out there, we stand a higher chance to help each other.
These injustices didn't just affect the past. They shaped health outcomes that still impact Black communities today. By understanding this history, we can recognize the importance of fairness, trust, and equal care in modern medicine, and why change is still necessary.